The moment Zachary Young saw Lily Vaughn standing in his kitchen, laughing at something his best friend Marcus said, he knew his carefully controlled life was about to get complicated. She wore paint-splattered overalls and had her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, a stark contrast to the polished women he usually encountered at gallery openings and charity galas. Marcus had mentioned his sister was moving back to Portland after finishing art school in New York, but Zachary hadn't expected her to be staying at Marcus's apartment while apartment hunting. He definitely hadn't expected Marcus to give her a spare key, which apparently extended to Zachary's penthouse since the two men had swapped keys years ago for emergencies. "Sorry," Marcus called out, not sounding sorry at all. "Lily needed to use a decent kitchen for meal prep, and my stove is busted. Hope you don't mind." Zachary set his briefcase down slowly, taking in the scene. His pristine marble countertops were covered with containers, vegetables, and what looked like 3 different types of rice. The woman turned fully toward him, and he felt something shift in his chest. Her eyes were the color of honey, warm and alive with curiosity. "You must be the famous Zachary," she said, wiping her hands on a towel. "Marcus talks about you constantly. I promise I'll clean everything up." "Famous is generous," Zachary replied, finding his voice. "And don't worry about it." Marcus grabbed a beer from the refrigerator like he owned the place. "Lily's the one I told you about, the artist. She just got commissioned for a mural downtown. Congratulations," Zachary said and meant it. He knew how competitive the art world was in Portland. Lily shrugged, but he caught the flash of pride in her expression. "It's just a start, but yeah, it feels good to be home." That first encounter lasted maybe 15 minutes before Marcus dragged his sister out, reminding her she had to meet with the building owner about the mural. But those 15 minutes planted something in Zachary's mind that refused to leave. Over the next 2 weeks, he saw Lily 4 more times. Once at Marcus's birthday dinner, where she sat across from him and debated the merits of different cuisines with surprising passion. Once at a coffee shop near his office, where they talked for 20 minutes about the changing architecture of the city. Twice more at his penthouse, always with Marcus present, always brief. Each time, Zachary felt the pull stronger. The way she gestured when she was excited about something. The thoughtful pauses before she answered questions. The paint that always seemed to be somewhere on her clothes or skin, evidence of a life lived in creation rather than transaction. He owned 3 luxury hotels in the Pacific Northwest. At 32, he had built an empire from a single struggling bed and breakfast he had purchased at 24 with money from his first real estate flip. He was used to getting what he wanted through strategic planning and calculated risks. But Lily was Marcus's little sister. That made her completely off limits. "You're distracted," his operations manager Rebecca said during their weekly review meeting. "Is everything okay?" Zachary forced himself to focus on the spreadsheet in front of him. "Fine, just thinking about the Seattle expansion." Rebecca didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. They went through the numbers for the new hotel opening in Bellingham, discussed staffing issues at the flagship Portland location, and reviewed proposals for renovating the restaurant at the coast property. Normal business. The kind of things Zachary could usually do in his sleep. Except he kept thinking about the way Lily had described her mural design, her hands moving through the air like she was painting invisible pictures. That evening, Marcus called. "Hey, are you free Saturday?" "Having a few people over to watch the game. Lily's going to cook." Zachary should have said no, should have invented a meeting or a trip or literally anything else. "Sure," he heard himself say. "What time?" Saturday came too quickly and not quickly enough. Zachary showed up at Marcus's apartment with expensive beer and a growing sense that he was making a mistake. The small living room was packed with people he knew from Marcus's construction business, plus a few faces he didn't recognize. Lily emerged from the kitchen wearing jeans and a soft blue sweater, her hair down around her shoulders. She smiled when she saw him, and Zachary felt that shift in his chest again. "Perfect timing," she said. I need someone tall to reach the serving platters on the top shelf. He followed her into the kitchen, hyper-aware of the small space, the way her shoulder brushed his arm as she pointed to the cabinet. He retrieved the platters, and she started arranging food with the same care he imagined she brought to her art. Marcus says you grew up in Portland too, Zachary said, just to fill the silence. Born and raised. I missed it in New York. The green, the rain, the way people actually make eye contact here. She glanced up at him. What about you? Marcus mentioned you're from California originally. San Diego, moved up here for college and never left. What made you stay? It was a simple question, but something about the way she asked it, genuine curiosity in her eyes, made him answer honestly instead of giving his usual response about business opportunities. I liked that Portland felt like a place where you could build something real, he said. In San Diego, I was just my father's son. Here, I got to be myself. Lily nodded slowly. I get that. In New York, I was always trying to fit into what everyone else thought an artist should be. Here, I can just paint what matters to me. Marcus stuck his head into the kitchen. Stop hiding and get out here. Game's about to start. The afternoon passed in a blur of football, food, and conversation. Zachary found himself constantly aware of where Lily was in the room, who she was talking to when she laughed. He forced himself to focus on the game, on Marcus's running commentary, on anything else. But then halftime came and somehow he ended up on the balcony with Lily, both of them escaping the noise inside. Not a huge football fan, he asked. I like it okay. Just needed some air. She leaned against the railing, looking out at the city lights starting to emerge in the dusk. Marcus says you basically built your business from nothing. He exaggerates. I had some money from flipping houses and I got lucky with timing. That's not what he told me. He said you turned one failing property into 3 successful hotels through pure determination and vision. Zachary felt uncomfortable with the praise. Marcus is a good friend, he is. He's also honest to a fault. If he says you're brilliant at what you do, I believe him. She turned to look at him directly. What do you love about hotels? No one had ever asked him that before. Investors wanted to know about profit margins. Employees wanted to know about benefits and culture. Even friends usually just asked about celebrity guests or interesting stories. I love creating spaces where people feel safe and cared for, he said slowly. Where they can step away from their regular lives and just breathe. Every detail matters, from the mattresses to the lighting to the way the staff greets them. It's like conducting an orchestra where every instrument has to be perfectly tuned. Lily's smile was soft, almost tender. That's beautiful. Most people would just say money or success. Those are nice too, he admitted, and she laughed. They talked for another 20 minutes about her mural and his hotels and what they loved about Portland. When they finally went back inside, Marcus gave Zachary a look he couldn't quite interpret. The next week, Zachary tried to put distance between himself and the situation. He threw himself into work, spending long days at the hotels and evenings reviewing plans for the Seattle expansion. He went on a date with a woman his lawyer had been trying to set him up with for months. She was beautiful and intelligent and completely wrong because she wasn't Lily. You're being an idiot, he told himself while reviewing contracts at midnight. Marcus was his best friend. Had been since college, when they had been randomly assigned as roommates and somehow clicked despite being complete opposites. Marcus built things with his hands. Zachary built them with money and strategy. Marcus was all heart and impulse. Zachary was calculation and control. Their friendship had survived Zachary's obsessive work hours and Marcus's tendency to date women who treated him badly. It had survived Zachary's success, not creating any jealousy, because Marcus genuinely loved his construction work and had no interest in the corporate world. It had survived everything. It would not survive Zachary pursuing Marcus's sister. His phone rang. Marcus. Hey, I need a favor, Marcus said without preamble. Can you give Lily a ride to a gallery event tomorrow night? I was supposed to go with her, but I got called to an emergency job site. Pipe burst at a house we just finished renovating. Zachary's hand tightened on the phone. Can't she drive herself? Her car's in the shop. Come on, man, it's at that gallery on Northwest 23rd. You're probably going anyway, right? Rebecca mentioned something about you supporting local artists. He was going. He sponsored several young artists every year and the gallery had specifically invited him, but going with Lily was different than just happening to see her there. Please, Marcus added. She's nervous about the networking stuff and I promised I'd be there. Because Zachary was apparently a glutton for punishment, he said yes. He picked Lily up at her new apartment the next evening. She had found a place in an older building with character, all exposed brick and large windows. When she opened the door, Zachary forgot how to breathe. She wore a simple black dress that somehow made her look both elegant and artistic. Her hair was styled but still had that slightly wild quality that suited her. She had paint under one fingernail that she had missed while cleaning up. You look beautiful, he said, then immediately wished he could take it back. Too honest, too much, but Lily blushed and smiled. Thank you, you clean up pretty well yourself. The gallery was packed with Portland's art scene, a mix of established names and hungry newcomers. Zachary knew several people there, but he found himself staying close to Lily, introducing her to potential clients and commissioners. She was nervous at first, but she warmed up quickly, especially when talking about her work. This is incredible, Zachary said, standing in front of one of her paintings that the gallery had on display. It showed Portland's skyline reflected in puddles on a rainy street, but the reflection showed the city as it might have been 100 years ago. Past and present layered together. It's about how cities hold memory, Lily explained. How the present is always in conversation with history. It's brilliant. She looked at him and something passed between them, something that felt like recognition, like maybe she had been fighting the same thing he had. Lily Vaughn, a voice interrupted. A man Zachary vaguely recognized from previous gallery events approached with a wide smile. I've been wanting to meet you. Your work is exactly what we need for our new development. Zachary stepped back as the man launched into a pitch. He watched Lily handle the conversation with growing confidence and felt proud despite having no right to that emotion. The evening wore on. Zachary mingled and talked business and wrote a check for the gallery's scholarship fund. But he was always aware of where Lily was, like she was magnetic north and he was the needle. Finally, the crowd began to thin. Lily found him near the exit. Ready to go? He asked. In the car, Lily was quiet. They were halfway back to her apartment when she finally spoke. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why haven't you ever dated anyone seriously? Marcus says you go on dates but nothing ever sticks. Zachary kept his eyes on the road. I've been focused on building the business. That's the answer you give everyone, but what's the real reason? He pulled up to a stoplight and finally looked at her. Maybe I've been waiting for something that felt real. The light turned green. Lily didn't respond, but he could feel the tension in the car shift into something heavier, more dangerous. When they reached her building, Zachary walked her to the door like the gentleman his mother had raised him to be. They stood in the small entryway, and he knew he should leave. Knew he should get in his car and drive away and never let this go any further. Thank you for tonight, Lily said softly. For the introductions, for the support, it meant a lot. You didn't need my help, your work speaks for itself. Still, thank you. She stood on her toes and kissed his cheek, quick and light. But when she pulled back, their faces were close enough that he could see the gold flecks in her eyes, close enough that he could smell her perfume, something citrus and clean. Lily, he said, and it came out rough. I know, she whispered. Marcus would kill us both. Probably literally. She smiled, but it was sad. So we're just going to ignore this. I don't know. Are we? They stood there for a long moment, the question hanging between them. Then Lily stepped back, putting necessary distance between their bodies if not their feelings. Good night, Zachary. He drove home and poured himself 2 fingers of scotch and stared out at the city lights. Everything in his life had been built on careful decisions, strategic moves, calculated risks. Pursuing Lily was the opposite of careful. It would risk his most important friendship. It would complicate everything. But God, he wanted to. The next morning, Marcus called him for their usual Saturday morning run. They met at the waterfront and fell into an easy pace along the river path. "Thanks again for taking Lily last night," Marcus said. "She texted me this morning all excited about some commission offer. She's talented. People are going to recognize that more and more." "Yeah, she is." Marcus was quiet for a few strides. "She seems happy here, happier than she was in New York. I'm glad she came home." Guilt twisted in Zachary's stomach. "Marcus, I need to tell you something," Marcus interrupted, "about Lily." Zachary's heart rate kicked up for reasons that had nothing to do with running. "She's had a tough time with relationships," Marcus continued. "She dated this guy in New York for 2 years. Total narcissist who kept telling her she needed to paint what would sell instead of what she cared about. Really messed with her head. She's been rebuilding her confidence, and I just need to know that the people around her are supporting that." "You know, of course." "Good, because you're going to be seeing her around. She asked about you this morning, actually. Wanted to know if you were dating anyone." Zachary nearly tripped. "What?" Marcus laughed. "Don't worry, I told her you were married to your hotels. That's still true, right?" This was the moment. The moment to tell his best friend the truth, that he had feelings for Lily, that every time he saw her it got harder to pretend he didn't, that he wanted to pursue something real with her if she was interested. But looking at Marcus, at the trust in his eyes, Zachary couldn't do it. "Right," he said, "still married to the work." They finished the run and grabbed coffee like they did every Saturday. Normal, easy, everything it had always been. Except now it felt like Zachary was lying by omission, and he hated it. The next 2 weeks were torture. Zachary saw Lily twice more at group gatherings with Marcus. Each time was harder than the last. He caught her watching him once, and the longing in her eyes mirrored what he felt. But they both stayed distant, kept conversations light and public. Then Marcus went to Seattle for a big construction project. He would be gone for 10 days. Lily texted Zachary 3 days into Marcus's absence. "Working late on the mural, hungry, and everything nearby is closed. Know any good places that deliver?" He should have just texted her a restaurant recommendation. Instead, he showed up at the mural site 40 minutes later with Thai food and 2 mango smoothies. She was on a scaffolding, adding details to what was already a stunning piece. The mural showed the Portland waterfront through different seasons, each section bleeding into the next. Spring blossoms became summer, sunshine became autumn, leaves became winter rain, all interconnected and alive. "Zachary," she said, surprise and something else in her voice. "You didn't have to come all the way down here." "I wanted to see the mural. Bringing food was just an excuse." She climbed down, and they sat on the ground with their backs against the building, eating pad thai and talking about everything except what they were both thinking. The conversation flowed like it always did with her, natural and easy. "Why hotels?" Lily asked, circling back to the question she had asked before. "You could have done anything. Why specifically hotels?" Zachary set down his container, considering. "When I was 8, my parents went through a bad divorce. My mom took me to this little hotel on the coast for a weekend, just to get away from the fighting and the lawyers and all of it. It wasn't fancy, just a small family place. But the owner, this older woman named Helen, treated us like we mattered. She brought my mom tea without being asked. She showed me where the tide pools were. She created this bubble of peace for us when everything else was chaos." He paused, surprised at himself. He had never told anyone that story. "I wanted to create that for other people," he continued. "Those moments of safety and care when the world gets too heavy." Lily's hand found his, fingers intertwining naturally. "That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard." "Romantic?" "Yes." "You're a romantic, Zachary Young. Hidden under all that business strategy, you're creating love letters in architectural form." He looked at their joined hands, then up at her face. "Lily, we need to talk about this." "I know. Marcus is my best friend. If this goes wrong, I lose him." "That's not a small thing. And he's my brother. If this goes wrong, I damage that relationship too." She squeezed his hand. But what if it doesn't go wrong? That's a big gamble. You're a businessman, you must take risks all the time, calculated risks. This feels different. Lily shifted to face him fully. Here's what I know. I've dated men who wanted me to be smaller, quieter, more convenient. Men who saw my art as a hobby instead of a calling. Men who looked at me but never really saw me. Her eyes held his. You see me. These past few weeks, every time we talk, you see exactly who I am and you seem to like that person. Maybe even more than like. Zachary's heart was pounding. Definitely more than like. So the question is whether we're brave enough to see where this goes. He thought about his careful life, his strategic plans, his controlled environment. Then he thought about the way Lily made him laugh, the way conversations with her felt like coming home, the way she challenged him to be honest instead of just successful. I'm terrified of hurting Marcus, he admitted. Me too. But I'm also terrified of missing out on something that could be amazing because we're too scared to try. Zachary leaned forward and kissed her, soft at first, tentative, giving her room to pull back. But she leaned in, her free hand coming up to cup his jaw, and the kiss deepened into something that felt inevitable and right. When they broke apart, Lily was smiling. So we're doing this. But we need to tell Marcus soon. I won't hide this from him. Agreed. When he gets back from Seattle. When he gets back. The next week existed in a strange bubble. They saw each other every day, learning each other in the way new couples do. Zachary discovered that Lily sang off-key when she painted and had an encyclopedic knowledge of terrible reality TV shows. Lily learned that Zachary was obsessive about coffee quality and secretly watched nature documentaries to fall asleep. They kept it quiet, not because they were ashamed, but because they wanted to tell Marcus in person together. It felt more honest that way, but hiding felt wrong. Zachary found himself editing what he said in phone conversations with Marcus, leaving out the most important parts of his days. It made him anxious in a way that business problems never did. He's going to freak out, Lily said on day 8 of the 10-day project, lying next to Zachary on his couch while a documentary about coral reefs played in the background. You know that, right? Probably. But hopefully he'll calm down once he sees we're serious about this. Are we serious? Zachary turned to look at her, this woman who had upended his carefully controlled world in the space of a month. I'm falling in love with you. That feels pretty serious to me. Her smile was radiant. Good, because I'm falling in love with you too. Marcus came back to Portland on a Thursday evening. They had planned to tell him Friday over dinner, giving him a day to recover from the trip. But Marcus showed up at Zachary's penthouse Thursday night without warning, letting himself in with the spare key. He found Zachary and Lily on the couch, very clearly together in a way that was more than friendship. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. How long? Marcus finally asked, his voice flat. A week, Lily said, standing up. But we've had feelings for longer. We were waiting for you to get back to tell you. Marcus looked between them, and Zachary watched his best friend's face cycle through emotions. Shock, hurt, anger, confusion. You're serious about this? Marcus asked Zachary directly, very serious. And you? He turned to Lily. More serious than I've ever been about anyone, she said quietly. Marcus ran his hand through his hair, a gesture Zachary recognized as his friend processing something difficult. This is really messed up, man. She's my little sister, I know. You're supposed to be my best friend. There are about 1 million women in Portland you could date. Why her? Zachary stood up, meeting Marcus's eyes. Because she's the only one who makes me want to be more than just successful, because talking to her feels like breathing, because I tried to stay away and I couldn't. He paused. I love her, Marcus. I didn't plan it and I know it's complicated, but it's real. Marcus turned to Lily. And you're sure about this, about him? I'm sure. Marcus, I know this is weird for you, but I need you to trust that I know what I'm doing. Zachary treats me like I matter. Like my art matters. Like my dreams are as important as his business. That's not something I'm willing to walk away from just because the timing is complicated. Marcus paced the length of the living room twice. Zachary stayed silent, letting his friend process. This was too important to rush. If you hurt her, Marcus finally said, pointing at Zachary. "I will end you. I don't care how much money you have or how many hotels you own. You hurt my sister and we're done. Friendship over, are we clear?" "Crystal clear. But I'm not going to hurt her." "And if he does," Lily interjected, "that's between him and me, not between you two. Your friendship existed before this and it should continue regardless of what happens with us." Marcus shook his head. "That's not how it works, Lily." "That's exactly how it works. You two are brothers in everything but blood. I'm not going to be the reason that ends, whether Zachary and I work out or not." Zachary felt a rush of love for her so strong it almost knocked him over. Even in the middle of this confrontation, she was thinking about protecting relationships rather than just her own happiness. Marcus sighed heavily and dropped onto the chair. "I need a beer, or 10. Zachary grabbed 3 beers from the fridge. They sat in tense silence for a few minutes, drinking and thinking. "Tell me this isn't just a fling," Marcus said eventually. "Tell me you're actually building something real." "We are," Zachary said. "I know it's fast, but it doesn't feel rushed, it feels right." "He makes me laugh," Lily added softly. "He challenges me to be better. He shows up when he says he will. He sees me as a whole person, not just someone's sister or some guy's girlfriend. He's kind and thoughtful and ambitious in ways I admire. And she makes me remember that life is about more than profit margins and occupancy rates," Zachary said. "She makes me want to take risks that aren't calculated. She's brilliant and talented and brave." Marcus looked at them for a long moment. "You really love each other?" "Yes," they said simultaneously. Another silence, this one slightly less tense. "This is going to take me some time to get used to," Marcus admitted. "It's weird seeing my best friend look at my sister like that, but I can see you're both happy." He pointed the beer bottle at Zachary again. "But I meant what I said. You hurt her and I will destroy you, understood?" Marcus turned to Lily. "And you better not hurt him either. He acts all tough with his business empire, but he's softer than he lets on." Lily smiled. "I know, I like that about him." They talked for another hour, working through the awkwardness. It wasn't perfect, and Zachary could tell Marcus was still processing, but it was a start. After Marcus left, Lily collapsed back onto the couch. That was terrifying, but necessary. Zachary pulled her close. "Now we don't have to hide. Now we just have to figure out if we're actually as good together as we think we are." He kissed the top of her head. "I'm not worried about that part. Over the next 3 months, they proved themselves right." They fell into a relationship that felt both exciting and comfortable, new discovery, and coming home. Zachary reduced his work hours for the first time in years, making space for long dinners and gallery visits and lazy Sunday mornings. Lily finished her mural to rave reviews and picked up 2 more commissions. They navigated the complexities of dating within their friend group. Some people were surprised, others claimed they had seen it coming. Marcus slowly adjusted to the new dynamic, though he still occasionally looked uncomfortable when Zachary kissed his sister in front of him. "You're different," Rebecca observed during a meeting about the Seattle expansion. "Happier." "I am," Zachary admitted. "It's good." "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." 6 months after that first kiss at the mural site, Zachary took Lily to the coast, to the small hotel where Helen had given him and his mother refuge all those years ago. It had changed ownership several times, but the bones of kindness were still there in the careful details. They walked the beach at sunset, and Zachary thought about calculated risks and unexpected futures. "I never expected this," he said, waves crashing beside them. "You, the forbidden sister." Lily teased, "The woman who completely changed my life." She stopped walking and turned to face him. "For better or worse, definitely better, you make everything better. That's a dangerous amount of power to give someone. I trust you with it." Lily reached up and kissed him, soft and sweet. "I love you, Zachary Young, your hotels and your documentaries and your secret romantic heart. I love you too. Your art and your terrible singing and your brave, beautiful way of seeing the world." They stayed at the coast for 3 days, making plans and dreaming about futures. Zachary told her about his idea for a hotel that would specifically support local artists, giving them space to display and sell their work. Lily told him about her dream of teaching art to underprivileged kids. "We could do both," Zachary said. "The hotel could have an education component, workshops and classes." "You're serious." "I'm always serious about good ideas, and this is a great idea." They drove back to Portland already sketching out concepts, the creative and the practical weaving together naturally. A year after they started dating, Zachary proposed in the most unromantic location possible. His hotel office, surrounded by blueprints for the art-focused hotel project. But the words were perfect, honest, and straightforward. "I want to build a life with you, hotels and murals and everything in between. Will you marry me?" Lily laughed through happy tears. "You couldn't have done this somewhere with better lighting. You're beautiful in any lighting. Smooth." But yes, obviously yes. They were married 6 months later in a small ceremony at the Coast Hotel. Marcus gave a speech that roasted them both affectionately and ended with grudging admission that they were actually perfect for each other. Zachary's employees attended alongside Lily's art world friends, 2 different worlds coming together seamlessly. "Who would have thought," Marcus said during the reception, standing between Zachary and Lily with an arm around each of them, "that you two would actually work?" "I did," Lily said. "From the moment he showed up with Thai food." "I should have known sooner," Zachary admitted, "but I was too busy being terrified of you." He nodded at Marcus. "You should be terrified of me. I'm terrifying." They laughed, and Zachary felt the rightness of it all. His best friend, his wife, his future spreading out in front of him like a blank canvas waiting to be painted. 2 years after the wedding, they opened the Young Vaughn Hotel in Northwest Portland. Half boutique hotel, half art gallery and education center. Local artists had rotating exhibitions in the common spaces. School groups came for free workshops. Hotel guests woke up surrounded by creativity and care. It was exactly what Zachary had dreamed of building since he was 8 years old, but better because he had built it with Lily. 3 years after that, they welcomed their daughter Emma. She had Lily's eyes and what Marcus declared was definitely the Vaughn stubborn streak. Zachary discovered that the love he felt for Lily could somehow expand to encompass this tiny person who disrupted his sleep and filled his heart to overflowing. "You're going to spoil her," Lily said, watching Zachary carefully install child-safe locks on every cabinet in their house. "Absolutely I am." "What happened to strategic planning and calculated risks?" He kissed his wife thoroughly. "You happened. You taught me that the best things in life aren't calculated. They're the ones that surprise you, that scare you, that change everything." "Like falling for your best friend's sister." "Exactly like that." Emma started crying from her nursery, and they both went to comfort her, together like they did everything now. Marcus came over the next day to meet his niece. He held Emma with surprising gentleness for someone who built houses with his bare hands. "She's perfect," he said softly. "You two did good." "We really did," Zachary agreed, watching Lily photograph Marcus with Emma for posterity. "I'm glad I didn't actually kill you when I found out about you and Lily," Marcus added. "Me too. Though it was touch and go there for a while. I remember." Marcus looked up, serious now. "But really, man, thank you for loving my sister the way she deserves, for seeing how amazing she is. Thank you for not killing me and letting me have the chance." They stood there, best friends and family now, connected in ways that went beyond their original college friendship. Emma grabbed Marcus's finger, and he made the ridiculous faces that uncles are obligated to make. Lily joined them, sliding under Zachary's arm like she was made to fit there. "What are we thankful for today?" "Second chances," Zachary said. "Brave decisions, beautiful women who turn my world upside down." "Forbidden love that became our future," Lily added, smiling up at him. Marcus groaned. "You two are disgusting. But fine, I'm thankful too, for family, even when they make everything complicated." "Especially when they make everything complicated," Zachary corrected. Emma yawned, tiny and perfect, and they all laughed at the timing. Outside, Portland rain began to fall, gentle and familiar. Inside, surrounded by the people he loved most, Zachary felt the kind of peace that could not be bought or built or strategized into existence. The kind that came from taking risks on love, on vulnerability, on futures you never expected. He had set out to build hotels where people could feel safe and cared for. Instead, he had built a home, a family, a life richer than any he could have planned. And it had all started with a woman in paint splattered overalls, laughing in his kitchen, forbidden becoming forever in the space between heartbeats.